So there's this expression of dog whistle, referring to like this concept, right, of high pitched sound that only dogs can hear, but that humans can't. And this now also refers to something people will frequently do, where they layer secondary meaning into their speech. And the thing is, I grew up with tons of that because we had a much simpler use for it, which is just being passive, or maybe even just a simpler term for it, which is called being passive aggressive. you know, but that because that's not about like hiding your intentions in order to like do some like because dog whistling is like people use dog whistling for a lot of things, but the connotation with dog whistling in particular is that it's using this technique of layering secondary meaning onto your speech to convey secondary meaning that other people don't get and that don't know is there in order to spread a message that you want to do something that society otherwise would not approve of. Like, for example, the January 6th riots were to a large extent fueled by dog whistling, right? Donald Trump didn't ever actually say, go riot. I don't know what he said. I don't want a dog whistle, right? I don't do dog whistling. I don't like dog whistling. But I have some thoughts on it because of things that have happened in my life. Where people have dog whistled things to me, and people have basically because I don't know how to flirt like at all. I used to walk into like that's what she said jokes like all the time, and so I'm just like utterly clueless about this. But then I realized it was happening, and it kind of drove me insane. Because like when you get into a sort of like excessive or when you get into something like a manic state, or if you just consume an excess amount of cannabis and you just start noticing this like ad nauseum, you start feeling like it is all dog whistling and it's all conspiracies. And the reality is people are layering secondary meaning onto their speech all the time, but it's mostly just obnoxious crap that they're thinking about in their subconscious, most of which is just how they would like more of things like food, power, sex, etc., right? So like it ain't real interesting for the most part. But it's driven me to madness on a number of occasions because people just do it constantly because people always have something else on their mind. And I frequently have something else on my mind. And when it comes to sort of political dog whistling and things like Donald Trump, it's these like, I'm constantly, it makes me constantly paranoid because although, some of that's just being me. But it's also because I'm paranoid about another January 6th, right? I'm paranoid that people are spreading these like conspiracies to like have some like thing. Because I originally went crazy and had a whole manic episode because I was convinced that people were dog whistling in attempts to have a secessionist conspiracy under Donald Trump. And now I'm paranoid that they're trying to have a secessionist conspiracy for Donald Trump. And in both cases, it's the secessionist conspiracy that worries me, but now it's even worse, because before, well, I don't know, in a sense it was worse before, because it was, I mean, I am a leftist, sort of for the record, I guess. Well, not really for the record, actually just as a, well, yeah, for the record, and they're proceeding forward from that record, you can understand things better than if it's just a, like, constant, like, ad hoc thing, I guess, I don't know. But, like, it's like, when leftists are conspiring, it's more disappointing because it's like I don't have anywhere to run because I'm not going to go to the right. Okay, they're just too obnoxious and too stupid, quite frankly. But like when the right is doing it, I get more worried because they're more like left wing people are smart enough not to actually burn everything down for the most part. Right wing people are sometimes stupid enough that they think they can actually succeed in a like violent takeover of the government. Basically, left wing people are generally smart enough to know that that is not a like intelligent course of action. And there's these things called elections that we can use to turn the tide of events instead. And what you do in between is you try to turn public opinion in favor of the side of the election that you favor, which in my case, I guess, is the Democrats, although I'm not particularly thrilled with the Democrats because of all the sort of secessionist conspiracies that happened while they were out of power. Although now that they're in power, they're generally, people are against those sorts of things, and there's now this awkward tension with California because now Donald Trump is out, so their excuse for being separatist is gone, but there's a lot of that sentiment still there. And fortunately, though, that seems to have like largely petered out. I think, I hope. But there's always just that vestigial little like, but what if there's still more of that nonsense? Um, I don't know. I can't stand dog whistling because, to be honest, I can't stand most people's flirting, right? Because people just flirt constantly and I find it obnoxious, right? It's like, to me, like, people just like layer flirting onto every interaction, and I didn't pick up on it until I was in grad school, and when I finally did, it started driving me insane. And then I started noticing this like conspiracy dog whistling that actually drove me insane, right? The flirting dog whistling drove me insane, like, oh my god, it drives me insane. The like conspiracy dog whistling, it drove me insane, like I ended up in a mental hospital insane, you know. Because but of course the thing I'm still accustomed to is just being passive aggressive, right? So that's the only sort of dog whistling I'll occasionally fall victim to, is if there's something where I don't want to be, but I make a full faith effort to just say what I actually mean at some point, right? But I will frequently find myself like saying something passive aggressively, but then if I do that, I'll do my best to just come out and say it, right? Like, you know, instead of like, doing this, because I grew up around a lot of really passive aggressive people, right? So I'm very accustomed to this sort of dog whistling thing, but I don't know. It's to me it's just a nuisance, right? It's just this like, it's now driven me to madness, but like my way of sort of like being calm again is to remember what just an absolute nuisance it is when people do this. Like, I just like dude, if you want to, it's a free country with free speech. If you want to say something, just come out and say it, unless you're trying to say something that maybe you shouldn't say, because yeah, you shouldn't tell other people to do violence on your behalf and then be like, oh, I didn't tell him to do it. It's like, come on, man, come on. Like, that's why I really can't stand Donald Trump, too, is that he operates on dog whistling, right? He notices that if he says certain things, people will do what he wants, and he won't be, like, directly accountable. And, like, yeah, no, it's like, I don't see any point in, like, I don't believe in witch hunts either, right? I don't want to, like, spend a bunch of time being like, but it's like, yeah, it's like some people broke into the Capitol and they're going to jail, and, like, it's c'est la vie. They shouldn't have done that. I would like to... Yeah, it's like, I would rather condemn Donald Trump with my speech than give up on free speech, And it's like, but that behooves us to actually spend some time being like, okay, yeah, look at this kind of thing and look at what nonsense it is. It's just so, yeah, I can't stand dog whistling. Don't do it.